Hi, my name is Maria, and today I will be giving you a Canadian tour of adult education. Starting with a brief overview, there are several historical examples of Canadian adult education dating back to 1663 with the establishment of the Séminaire de Quebec, which is the oldest institution of higher education in Canada, and later founded the University of Laval. Over the years, adult education in Canada has significantly become more prominent in Canadian culture, and now has not only become a field of practice, but from the 1960s has become a field of study itself and has manifested itself in Canadian culture. Shifting away from the concept that only the elite groups of society have access to education, adult education is now widespread across the country. Higher education has empowered people to excel in their fields of study, to use their voice as a method of gaining rights, whether those were involved in the women's rights or social issues. Today, I will be talking about 3 sites that are historical examples of adult education settings in Canada. The first is the Mechanics Institute. The first Mechanics Institute in continental British North America came into existence in 1828 in Montreal, and it was influenced by the mechanics institutions that already existed in England and Scotland. It still exists to date, but is now officially known as the Atwater Library of Mechanics Institute of Montreal. Actually, out of the many mechanics institutes that were established in the 19th century, it is the only one that still exists to date, with the rest of them either being closed or merged into public library systems. It was formed by prominent Montreal citizens as they saw the need to educate workers in order to allow them to keep up their technical skills and stay relevant for the emerging industries of the growing city. The patron was Sir James Kemp, a governor of Lower Canada, and the institution focused on running a lecture program in addition to weekly information systems for their active members, who the majority of them were artisans, craftsmen, and shopkeepers who were employers. I believe that this example is significant for Canadian adult education because it was established at a time where building trades were rapidly expanding, and this was evidenced by the construction of canals such as the Lachine Canal and the Notre Dame Church. Therefore, the establishment of the institution allowed for the workers to gain knowledge about their trade and essentially make more informed decisions on how to progress in their field of work. There are several other educational institutions that were developing close to the time of the Mechanics Institute, and the University of McGill opened its doors for classes in 1829. Additionally, the Institute also faced several challenges to remain open to date, which I believe is significant, especially as some of the reasons date back to less than 10 years after the institution opened its doors. In 1834, the institution had to suspend all activities as a result of the pre-rebellion political unrest in Montreal, in addition to rivalries based on religion and educational objectives. The second site I will be talking about is the University of British Columbia. In 1908, provincial legislature passed a new University Act, and the University of British Columbia was established. Before the act was passed, there had been several attempts at creating a degree-granting university, and the only higher education available in BC was provided by denominational colleges affiliated with the Universities of McGill, Toronto, and McMaster. After several hindrances due to World War I, 1,200 students marched from downtown Vancouver to the Point Grey campus on what is known to be the Great Trek, and was a part of Build a University campaign. Currently, UBC is a global center for teaching, learning, and research, and provides higher education to over 65,000 students on its 2 campuses. I believe that UBC is significant to the history of adult education in Canada because UBC is not only the second biggest university in terms of enrollment in Canada, but it was actually the first university to introduce the first doctoral program in adult education in Canada, and the current adult learning and education program is the oldest graduate education program in Canada. Additionally, it is not only a site for higher education and adult learning for Canadians, but also provides over 16,000 international students with higher education and is recognized as North America's most international university. Additionally, UBC has also provided world-class education over its last 100 years, and this is witnessed through its impressive alumni base. The third site I will be talking about is the Workers' Educational Association. The Workers' Educational Association was established in 1917 in Toronto, Ontario, by university professors and trade unionists who wanted to provide evening classes for working people. It is a non-profit, non-partisan charity organization with their main focus being on lifelong learning. The Workers' Educational Association was run using funds from provincial and federal sources, the Carnegie Foundation, and labor movement and tuition fees. They provided several forums in addition to courses such as economics, labor history, and collective bargaining. The WEA educated hundreds of thousands of people across Canada. I believe that the WEA is significant because it was an establishment that was a pioneer in adult education in Canada, and up until the establishment of community colleges, the WEA was a primary provider for adult education in Canada.